estate market update. Mortgage rates again went up over this past week, and in fact closed at an all-time high. I'm going to show you those numbers here. And again, if you want to take a look at past episodes, I talk about why the numbers you see reported are always late. And even though the news is reporting that we're below 7%, they're going to hit this number. This is the actual market price of where mortgages are today. And they closed Friday at a 20-year high of 7.16%. And so you're going to see the Freddie Mac, which was reported last week at 6.92%, that was a survey of prior week's activity. So just as time catches up, it's going to go up. Same with the MBA rate, the Mortgage Bank Association. There is also a survey that's 2-3 weeks behind. And so as the time goes forward, they're also going to crash 7. So watch all the news talk about closing above 7% unless the rates turn around. Now, if they stay where they are, it's inevitable. It's baked in the data. If the market changes, it will change. And again, in prior episodes, talk about why that's so dishonest. But more importantly than all this is, how is it or is it affecting real estate values? Well, so far, it doesn't seem to be affecting values much at all. Let's take a look at inventory nationally. Inventory continues at almost record lows. The only year lower was last year during the pandemic. The current inventory is below 2 years ago, the first pandemic year, and record lows for non-pandemic period if we're out of the pandemic. And so in order for there to be a real estate crash or crisis, there has to be more homes than buyers for the prices to go down. That's simply not happening. I put a lot of thought in this. I think I've realized the reason it's different now in 2008 and 2009 is back then, the housing industry was the cause of the recession. It was a bubble that burst in housing that hurt banks and caused the economic malaise of that time period. This is different. Housing values are being pulled down by inflation, by war in Ukraine, supply chain issues. All those are factors are affecting housing, but the housing market is adjusting to the market along the way and has remained in equilibrium, though sales activity is down from the last 2 years, pre-pandemic period, and prices are not increasing as fast as they were before. They're still going up, and I'll take a look at that. But notice here how inventory still nationally is down low. Now in Los Angeles, in our MLS, take a look at the average sold per square foot, the dollar per square foot. This measures the value of the house in its rawest form. Just like gas prices have go up per gallon of gas, here in housing, the housing price per square foot you might buy has gone up to a almost record $619 per square foot. Now, this is a number throughout my MLS, so this covers a wide area. But notice the only time higher was in the spring this year briefly. Other than that, this would be an all-time high. I'm not sure what this 1 month is. I believe that's a statistical aberration. But overall, the market has continued to go up. The value of housing in the market has continued to go up. Now, one thing you should know is, though, the real estate news industry has to print something. They've got to do something to get people's attention. What are they going to do? Well, they've been crying about a housing crash and crisis, and nobody is falling for that. It's true that in some pockets there are some reduced prices, and that number maybe is about a third of the United States. Prices are going down a bit, and 2/3 of prices are going up, and on average they're going up. So take a look at this article by Zillow in Fortune magazine. They've stopped predicting crashes. Now it's where your local housing market is headed. And so they have this kind of cool tool where you can take a look at your county and see are prices going up or down in your market based on the rest of it. Keep in mind, just 4 months ago, these are the same people who projected a 17.8% increase nationally. Now they're projecting a 1.4% increase. They've adjusted their predictions by 16% just in the last 4 or 5 months. So how accurate is their information? I don't know. It doesn't seem so accurate to me. But one of the things that's more troubling is the value of the Zillow estimate. That's what I want to talk about today. There's a saying in technology that if you're not the customer, you are the product. Meaning if you're not paying for a service and using it for free, then somebody else is paying for your data or to manipulate you. Classic case was Google. When they came out as a search engine, it still is free to users to use. But Google assembles that data and sells it to advertisers and has become one of the most powerful companies in the world as a result. Same with Facebook. You don't pay to use it, but people pay to use the data of the people that use it. That's where you become the product rather than the customer. And that's true in a lot of products. And I believe that's what's happened in Zillow. When Zillow first came out, their Zillow estimate was revolutionary. It was a tool across the country estimating the real value of properties. And they wrote a book on their data, and they were data engineers, and they had a great corner on the market and created a great reputation based on the accuracy of the Zillow estimate. However, for a while now, that estimate is no longer the value of the property. It is now the value that will most get Zillow the most advertising dollars. And I can prove it. Let's take a look at a recent property that I had a chance to work with. Customer calls me up and says, what's my house worth? So this was back in the very end of August, and I estimated about $2 million. I looked at the time at the Zillow estimate was about $2 million, as was Redfin and 2 or 3 other sources. And the closed sales suggest about 1.9, but I rounded up to about $2 million at the time. And the Zillow estimate was $2 million. Like many sellers, they thought they just simply raise the price they asked for, they'll get it. And they listed the price in September, actually the end of August, at $2.4 million. So what does Zillow do? Zillow looks at their data and decides the property value of the house must be $2.4 million. So they raise their estimate. They raised the estimate 17%. And the only thing that changed was the seller hoping to sell it for that number. There was no other data. Then 30 days later, the seller realized it's not going to sell for that. So they cut the price to $2.95 million, say 2.3 in round numbers. And so magically Zillow lowers their estimate to the same $2.3 million. Again, remembering that in August it was 2.044. So clearly the Zillow number isn't the value of the property. It's something related to what the seller's going to think. And what they don't want to do is have sellers upset and say, oh, that's Zillow, it's worthless. They want people to be impressed with their product. As a result, I believe the most important number in setting the Zillow estimate is what will sell advertising dollars for Zillow, not the value of the property. Now, do you disagree? Tell me, put in the comments below. Make your case. Prove me wrong. Show me an example where I'm wrong, where their estimate is actually accurate. But I would say right now, Zillow has more from being a data analytics company to primarily an advertising company, and I believe in the future, a real estate agency. So where does this leave us? As always, your situation is different than anybody else's. If it makes sense for you today in today's market to buy a property, if you can take advantage of the available houses, more available now maybe than in the peak market in the springtime. If you can get a buy-down loan and tailor your mortgage to get the best terms, negotiate the seller the best terms on a mortgage, and afford the property, great time to buy a house. Because in inflationary times, everything looks like it's going to go up. If it's time for you to sell a property, whether you're cashing out to invest or looking to relocate and it makes sense for you to do that, great time to sell. Low inventory means you can probably get a good price as well as negotiate the terms. The key is what's best for you. If you need help understanding your situation, give me a call, text me, email me. As always, I'm here to help you. And remember, as always,